All right, let's talk some Matthew Stafford. There's no denying he's been playing a lot worse these past couple of weeks than what we've seen early on this season. So what's going on? And, listen, I've talked about in the past how typically with Sean McVay-led quarterbacks, they do kind of drop off a little bit as the further the season goes along. That happened all 4 years with Jared Goff. It's now happened with Matt Stafford. So why is it? And I was kind of thinking, and part of me just sort of wondered, is part of it maybe some predictable play calling, and actually Matt Stafford's getting all the credit, all the blame for it, just like how Jared Goff got all the blame for it, but maybe play calling does factor in. And I think to some degree there is some truth to that. Look, right when this play begins, what you're going to notice is that for Matt Stafford, so the concept itself, I'm going to be honest, I don't know what the Ravens saw in the film study previously to this game, but they saw something because they're playing cover 2 man, and you see the concept. It's a pretty simple concept, just to gain a few yards. You're not trying to gain too much here because you don't need too much here. So it's a third down, and you have to get to the 18-yard line currently, and you're taking a snap at the 15. So need 3 yards here. Pretty simple idea. Basically, you just hit the open guy, whichever one you like. You should, you throw the ball to. Typically, the way you'd make this read in pre-snap, I think Stafford actually already has his decision made up, which I get, which is that you see how close Patrick Queen, the linebacker over the middle, is towards the middle of the field. So he's going to try and hit the player who is closest to him, essentially. Because, closest to Matt Stafford, Because, basically, the one that's, third closest towards the bottom. Of course, you know that he's going to be breaking towards the bottom of the screen, which is away from Queen, who's going to be trying to cover him. So this should work. However, right when this play begins, when Stafford's, he takes a snap and he's throwing it there. Like, he's not wasting any time. But Chuck Clark, the player who I've circled in yellow, he's aware of this. He's paying attention and he's ready to jump the route. If he guesses wrong here, it's not the end of the world, quite frankly. This is a good decision for Clark, because if you screw this up, okay, it'll be a catch and they'll gain 20 yards or so, but you have safety help behind you. So it's not like it's going to be a touchdown or anything. And, if you don't get there, it's a first down anyways. So might as well risk the 10 to 15 yards to potentially get a pick 6. It's totally, the risk reward is totally, it makes it worth it. And so my question is, and this is just a question, I don't know, is did Chuck Clark just read pre-snap, hey, Matt Stafford, the good chance he's throwing over there because I see where my teammate is lined up, so this would make some sense? Or is Chuck Clark instead doing something where he saw this play on film and is making a break on it? Typically when this stuff happens, it's the latter. It's that he saw something on film, but I don't know that, which is why I'm saying both options could be true. Stafford's going to throw this. It's going to be a pick 6. To me, this is good defense. I don't know. Everyone's going to crush Matt Stafford for it. I get it. You did throw it directly to Chuck Clark. But to me, that's a good defensive play. Sometimes that happens, and sometimes a player makes a good read. I don't think anyone would have really been crushing him too much if Chuck Clark saw it and just couldn't get there in time. Maybe you could say Stafford should have noticed Chuck Clark was there, but I don't know. That would be a really tough read to make. I think it was just a good play by Chuck Clark. Sometimes you got to tip your cap. That's how I feel about it. And we also got to talk about something like this, where this one he got really crushed for. Actually, it was kind of funny. When this stuff was happening, I tweeted out something like, is no one ever going to criticize Sean McVay's play calling? Or are we all just going to put the blame on Matt Stafford? Which is kind of a jerky thing to tweet anyways. But hey, Twitter's for a bit of, hot takes anyways. So figured I'd throw one out there. Unfortunately, I tweeted it after that first play, but I didn't see the second interception, which had already happened. So then I really got clowned for it, which was rightfully so. But this was the interception. It's going to be a cover 2 man, and Odell Beckham Jr. is running a deep route over the middle. And this is notable because against cover 1, maybe it could work if you can get the safety out of position, but cover 2 makes it a lot more interesting. Watch. So Stafford takes the snap, and here's what I think happens. Stafford did get his eyes up to Odell a little bit late, and I have 2 guesses as to what happened. One, he just misread the coverage. For whatever reason, he doesn't see the safety that's closest towards the bottom of the screen, who is also Chuck Clark. So again, Chuck Clark coming in again on this play. Maybe that's what happened. And so he just never saw him. Or he thought that Odell could kind of split the safeties both, and he could just run past both of them, which, okay, there's a chance that happens, but, the obvious thing that people are going to notice is that the underneath route to Van Jefferson ends up getting wide open right here. I've always kind of been of the belief of like, listen, you go through your progressions. If something is open that you like and then it turns out something else was more open, I don't really crush guys for that. The issue is that there's just no reason he should have made this throw. If there's only one safety deep, then sure, make that throw because it would have probably been a touchdown. And I think maybe that's what Stafford thought, or maybe he just trusted his arm that he could make an incredible perfect throw, but that was just going to be really tough. Look, Clark is going to step in front and get the interception. Like, there's no denying that was a tough read. And listen, Stafford does this. Like, this is something you could see in his Detroit tape as well. It's not like he was this perfect player who never made mistakes with the Lions. Like, no, he's always had some issues. You can say that about a lot of quarterbacks. Like, that's why Matt Stafford really hasn't ever gotten talked about as like the best quarterback in football. He's always kind of been talked about as a tier 2 quarterback, not the elite of the elite, but one step below, which is still very valuable and very good. And like we still did see, for the most part, I still think this was a pretty positive performance by the Rams. I mean, you throw a couple interceptions, basically your night is ruined. Everyone's going to say that you suck, especially if you do it early on. But I thought that for the most part, this was a promising performance by the Rams offense. I know against a lot of, new NFL players with the Ravens, as they've had a lot of injuries, but still, something like this, simple concept, something the Rams like to do, but it was working well against the Ravens, zone coverage, cover 3 zone, which again, the Ravens, they're in a tough spot. They kind of have to play coverages. They don't love to play, and they don't really know how to do this that well. It's not typically what they do. Like, watch, right when this play begins, you're going to notice that no one picks up the player over the middle. This is Stafford's first read, but he's making the read well. This stuff is getting open, and also watch the throw. Look, very good throw. He wanted to get it high. I know people might say, oh, his 89 right there, he had to make a tough play. Like, he was supposed to. That's where Stafford was trying to put it. Like, that's a good play. Easy stuff. Sean McVay's calling this stuff well, and that stuff can work out. I think one interesting thing about Stafford, and he might get some criticism in the same way that like a Patrick Mahomes gets criticism for Mahomes. People have talked about, oh, the no-look passes, what an idiot, because of that one interception. The one time it doesn't work out, that's where you get criticism from. And I think you could argue that those other couple of plays, he was making his decision too quickly without maybe taking a beat to really see what's around him. And that does have its negatives. It has its positives as well, though. Like, something like this is what I'm referring to, where it's going to be quarters coverage. And you see Odell Beckham Jr.'s route. It's a route that could get open, but you also can see how it could not, right? There's Ravens players, a safety deep that could come in and cover it. Also a player over the middle who should just be lined up over the middle from Beckham. So how do you get this ball there? Well, watch. So Stafford takes the snap, and what you're going to see is that right here, why are those two Baltimore players in black moving so far up to the top of the screen? What is this? Why are they doing this? Why aren't they covering Odell Beckham Jr.? Well, go over and look at Stafford and look at where Stafford is looking. He's looking in that direction. He's using his eyes to his advantage. He's a big, he's a guy who does this very often, is what I'm trying to say. And obviously, everyone brings up the negatives of, those couple interceptions, specifically the second one because he didn't look at Odell until very late into the play. He maybe didn't see a safety that was right there. Well, the flip side is this stuff happens. He then gets over to Beckham, and they're able to get a big gain there. Didn't quite get the first down. It was third and very long. They came very close to getting the first down, but I think it's still a good example of showing the value that kind of stuff can have in specific plays, and that is a benefit as well. So it goes both ways. I'm not trying to be a Stafford apologist or a Stafford a Stafford hater, I guess. I think that I get the criticisms, I get the praises. I think they're both true, and it's hard to have one without the other. It's kind of tied together. So yeah, that's what I think. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.